aggression. Ruthless aggression. Ruthless aggression.
What is up, Nation? Noah here, back again, and welcome back to Ruthless Discussions, Episode 2, my podcast all about the WWE Ruthless Aggression Era. We kicked this off last week with Episode 1, talked about my love for the Ruthless Aggression Era, just kind of introduced the podcast, what we're going to be doing on here and whatnot, and we're going to jump around a bunch, but we're actually going to be kicking things off this week with our first review of the podcast, and it is going to be, as you guys already know, by looking at the title, if you're watching on YouTube and seeing the thumbnail, or if you're listening on any of the audio platforms, you probably saw the title as well. But we'll be talking about Backlash 2002, which took place April 21st. I got my notes here, so if you see me looking down, if you're watching on YouTube, you see me looking down at my computer. I'm looking at my notes. I took notes while watching this thing back, because I wanted to be on point for you guys. But we got April 21st, 2002, the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri. So this took place 20 years and 9 days ago, the time I'm filming this podcast, which is crazy. I can't believe it's been that long since, I kind of talked about this last week, but just the start of the Ruthless Aggression podcast. And again, I talked about this last week as well. I know the technical dates for the Ruthless Aggression, start and finish are like June 2002 to around July, August 2008, but I like to extend those to the beginning and ends of those years. All of 2002 and all of 2008 is Ruthless Aggression to me. That whole time period is the RA era, which I love so much. So that is why, we're talking about Backlash 2002. Like I said, I consider this part of the Ruthless Aggression era. It was the introductions. This was the first pay-per-view under the new brand split rules. There was, a few weeks before this was the start of the official WWE brand split with this draft. We had a Raw roster, a SmackDown roster. It was the first pay-per-view under those new rules, and it was an awesome show. I'm gonna be honest. Like I said, I watched this the other night from front to back. I was honestly not even thinking I was gonna watch it in one sitting. I thought I was gonna maybe I'll watch half of it tonight. It was kind of late, and then I was like, I'll finish it tomorrow, because like I said, it was kind of late. And then I ended up staying up till 1:30 in the morning because I was just locked in, and I was loving it. I didn't want to turn it off. It just kept getting better and better, and then I knew Triple H and Hogan was coming up eventually. I was pumped to watch it, and then I just ended up watching the whole show in one sitting. So yeah, Backlash 2002. Guys, before we get into this show, if you're watching here on YouTube, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, turn on those notifications down below. If you're on any of the audio platforms and listening, be sure to give me a 5-star Frog Splash review. I know this podcast isn't on all the audio platforms yet. I thought Anchor sends them out to everything, but I guess the way Anchor does it now is you kind of have to manually set it up yourself. I don't know. I didn't have to do that for my Tuesday Night Toys podcast, but I had to do it under a new account for this podcast. So I don't know. I got it on Google so far. It's on Spotify, but for some reason I'm having trouble getting it on Apple Podcasts and stuff. It's not on me. I've looked up the situation that I'm getting, the error that I'm getting, and it's a thing on Apple. And I think the only way to correct it and to get my podcast on Apple Podcasts is to contact Apple. So I might have to do that. I'm going to try, a few more times. We'll see. But eventually it will be on I can't talk on all the audio platforms that you guys even see here on the screen. Anchor, Google, Spotify. It's on all three of those. And then, of course, the Apple Podcast. We'll get there eventually. But anyways, guys, Backlash 2002. One thing I got to say about this era and previously, when did WWE or WWF New York open? I want to say it was 99, 2000. New York restaurant, yeah. I'm looking it up right now. Oh, it was The World, excuse me. But everyone just refers to it as, WWE, WWF New York. Founded November 1999. I knew it was something like that. And ceased operations 2003. So one thing about pay-per-views during this time is they would always start the pay-per-views with a cutaway to WWF/WWE New York, The World, and you would just see the whole place just bumping. Because I never went there as a kid. Just obviously I was 3. It opened in 99. I was not even a full 1 year old. Closed in 2003, so I obviously wasn't that old. I never went up to New York to this place, but obviously, like I'm saying, they always did the cutaways during the beginning of the pay-per-views, and they just show the place packed for I assume pay-per-view viewings. And I don't know if you had to somebody let me know if did you have to pay a special fee to get in there during pay-per-views or something, like, or was it just like if you were there, they were showing the pay-per-view no matter what? I assume Raw and SmackDown, everything was on TVs all the time, but like, was there like a fee, like, yo, you want to come in here during a pay-per-view? You're paying pay-per-view prices, or like, did they not care because you were going in there to like eat and stuff anyway? Somebody let me know. I want to know. I don't know. I'm sure I can look it up, but if somebody knows, let me know. But I always liked during when you go back and watch pay-per-views, they do the shot of the crowd. You know, obviously, like I said, they were in was it Kansas City for this pay-per-view, and then they do the cutaways, and everybody's just losing their shit at WWE New York, or at the time WWF New York, and I just always thought it's hilarious to just see people losing their mind. They're just sandwiched in there, like just craziness is going on. I love it. But the show kicked off nonetheless. Backlash 2002. We had the Cruiserweight Championship on the line. How can you ask for a better start to the show? I mean, I love the Cruiserweight era during this time, and I'll get a little bit more into it, but we had Billy Kidman defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Tajiri. Tajiri had Stacy Keibler in his corner. His, I think it was his girlfriend at the time, quote unquote, or whatever, on television, obviously. And before I even get into this match, and it kind of ties in, like, one thing I know, wow, can't talk. One thing I wrote down here in my notes is that I loved, because I wanted to make sure, you know, I said this, is that I loved the Cruiserweight era during this time. This, and the late 90s as well. This time period, early 2000s and late 90s, are my favorite style of Cruiserweight, high-flying, fast-paced action. Like, it has all those Cruiserweight, you know, maneuvers and pacing of matches that we're used to and that we associate with that style, without going too over the top like you might see sometimes today. And I'm not trying to bash on current day wrestling or anything, but I kind of liked when the Cruiserweights were not the main guys on the show, and the main guys were, you know, the Triple H's and the Hogans. And I know, like, times have changed, and I'm all for that and stuff like that. I'm not knocking the current day, but I have nostalgia for and appreciate that more, especially this Cruiserweight style back then, when it was its own niche and it wasn't, you know, can be found on anywhere in the show. I liked when things were kind of paced how this match was, and the high-flying maneuvers were paced in the match, and there was, you know, meaning to the maneuvers and stuff like that. There was just high spot after high spot after high spot, like you'll see sometimes in wrestling today. And again, I'm not trying to knock it, but that's just my preferred style. My favorite style of all kinds of Cruiserweight, high-flying action, that late 90s, early 2000s. I love it. I just love the Cruiserweight division at this time, man. I think I talked about it a little last week, but Billy Kidman, Tajiri, kicking it off there. And even just some of the names you guys might be like, really? That's your favorites? But I'm not saying they're my favorites. I just love these kind of like lower mid-card guys. They'd always go out there and kill it, like Jamie Noble and the Hurricane, and who else was in the Cruiserweight division at this time? Obviously, Rey Mysterio was on his way in 2002. Chavo, you know, had jumped from WCW into WWE. So I just love the Cruiserweight division at this time. And this was just Billy Kidman was probably the Cruiserweight of 2002, I'd say. Well, I don't want to say that. I mean, I think he probably had the biggest moment for Cruiserweight, the Cruiserweight title 2002, winning at Survivor Series that year. But regardless, one thing I also noted here about the Billy Kidman Tajiri match, ECW versus WCW, very cool. Obviously, this is post, you know, invasion angle, post, you know, all these guys coming into WWE, and the split brands are now in effect. So you kind of got a ECW guy, Tajiri, versus a WCW guy, Billy Kidman. And I'm not sure if this was the first time they ever faced off in WWE. I don't believe it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but, you know, just another added note there. But a couple of notes about this match, man, as I'm just watching this, and I'm really just having appreciation for the guys in the ring, man. Like Billy Kidman, Tajiri, two awesome wrestlers, two very underrated wrestlers, I gotta say. Billy Kidman, known for the shooting star press, I'd say, like one of the guys who, I don't want to say made it famous, but like you associate that move when you think of Billy Kidman. But like overall, man, such an underrated wrestler. Like he can really, he really could go in the ring. Like I absolutely love his style. And Tajiri, on the other hand, like everything he does, this is common knowledge, I think, to, you know, people who know and watch Tajiri and have watched Tajiri over the years. But Tajiri, everything he does is hit with impact. Everything he does just looks like it kills, man. And that I was watching during this match, and I was like, man, he is messing up Billy Kidman. Like it was just awesome, man. I love these two guys' styles, and they mesh very well, because even though they're both cruiserweights, they have different styles. And it was great. The closing moments of this match, Billy Kidman missed the shooting star press. Tajiri hit the buzzsaw kick. Kidman with the kick out. Billy Kidman did that spinebuster power bomb, which did he hit this off the second rope? I believe he did. Or Tajiri's on the second rope. He's sitting on the top rope. That spinebuster style, but into a sit out power bomb. Classic Billy Kidman move on top of the shooting star press, something he used to do all the time. Absolutely love seeing that move. It's super badass. But not. I also did. I wrote not a move you see every day in my notes. I was writing down everything. Half my notes are like what happened on the show. Half are things I wanted to make sure I said on this podcast. So I was thinking it while I was watching. But that is true. Not a move you see every day. You see sit out power bombs, you see spine busters, but you don't see that sit out into a power bomb every day. Somebody should steal that and bring it back. Let your indie wrestlers know. Kidman goes for another power bomb. Tajiri with the mist to the face. I want to say I'm pretty sure it was red mist. I forget though. Covers I like this little detail. Tajiri kind of covered, stacked up Billy Kidman and covered his face, so the ref didn't see the mist to the eyes, and stole the win, won the Cruiserweight Championship. And I love this match, man. Again, perfect opener. Cruiserweights, especially back then, the perfect guys to put in the opening of a pay-per-view and just start the show off hot. Crowd's hot. They're ready for the action. Send the Cruiserweights out there. Give them, I don't even know. I got Wikipedia up as well. How long did this match go? 9 minutes. Yeah, I'd say it definitely felt like that 9-minute matchup. And, plenty of time. Plenty of time to go out there, get a good story in, have a great match. Perfect opener for me. I loved it. I really thought it was a great way to set the tone for the show. We moved on after that. Bradshaw versus NWO Scott Hall, the late great Scott Hall. One thing to note here, X-Pac came out wearing Kane's mask, and I was watching this and I was like, I'm an idiot for passing on that X-Pac Elite Fan Takeover Amazon exclusive from last year, I think it was, because it's from this 2002 NWO run. It's Ruthless Aggression, so I got to go back and pick it up. I don't know why I passed on it, but I need it for my Ruthless Aggression stuff, and it was just funny because it was literally like, this is the error. The exact time period storyline that figure was based off of. X-Pac comes out, he's wearing Kane's mask. I just thought that was great, and reminded me that I need to pick up that figure eventually. But we had a little backstage segment before this, actually, with Bradshaw. This was a Raw match, but Bradshaw was representing Raw, and Farouk actually came up. Obviously, APA had been broken up to the draft, and he was a part of SmackDown now. Had a little, reignite. What am I trying to say? What's the word? Reunion. I'm an idiot. Backstage between the two beforehand. X-Pac came out, Scott Hall, obviously, and then before the match, Farouk actually came out to kind of even the odds, so Bradshaw had somebody in his corner as well. Not much to say about the match. I mean, it was pretty much just kind of like a brawl for the most part. We went, how long did this go? 5 minutes and 43 seconds. Honestly, felt like longer than that, but not in a bad way. But, it wasn't like some great match or anything. It was fine for what it was. Scott Hall rolled up Bradshaw. He low-blowed him. Pretty sure there was some outside interference between Farouk and X-Pac. Not interference, but they were brawling a little bit. Scott Hall got the win. Not much to talk about, but honestly, for what it was, and reminding myself now that I'm looking at Wikipedia, that was not even 6 minutes. Got the job done in 6 minutes, and I'm glad they gave the time to Tajiri and Billy Kidman over a more dragged out Scott Hall and Bradshaw match. So it kind of works out. Next up after this, you know what? This is where we do a cut, but I'm not even gonna cut it out because your boy needs some water. If I can get the old jug open, we actually had a backstage segment which I'm gonna talk about in a second. Alright. Gotta drink out of the jug. Or this is like right under a jug of water. I don't know. Anyway. Had a backstage segment on this show. Ric Flair's back there. He's getting ready to referee the match later on between Stone Cold and The Undertaker, which is a #1 contenders match for the undisputed WWF Championship. Ric Flair's back there. He's with Arn Anderson. And then Vince McMahon walks in. Obviously, Vince leading SmackDown at the time. Flair leading Raw. It's just a couple weeks after the draft between the two. Vince comes in. He was just kind of hyping up Ric Flair, and they were just having a little backstage segment. But the reason I wrote this down is because I loved how the backstage segments used to look during this time. Nowadays, hate to keep going to nowadays, but that's why I'm referring to some of these stuff, because I just loved how they were. Nowadays they kind of look very unnatural. A lot of LED lights are projected onto the backstage areas where it's like, why would there be LED lights in this random hallway in the arena? I just loved how natural everything looked. It looked like you were legitimately in Ric Flair's locker room and there was a confrontation going down, not you were in a setup locker room with some LED lights on it. And, I don't know. I just thought it was worth noting. Kind of goes back to what I was saying last week about the aesthetic of the whole Ruthless Aggression era. I just love it. Love it. Anyway, moving on, we had a Women's Championship on the line for the WWE, which honestly, I'm going to go ahead and say this. This wasn't the match of the night for me, but it was definitely up there. This was Trish defending the title, or excuse me, not Trish defending the title. Trish versus Jazz, who was defending the championship. Before she came out, though, Molly Holly came out shooting on Trish because she cheated in their matchup on Raw, which I believe they said was the week prior. And she started beating the hell out of Trish. I believe she threw her into the steel steps and stuff like that. And then Jazz eventually comes out. She starts beating up Trish. And I believe, what does Wikipedia say? Their match was 4 minutes and 29 seconds. I gotta be honest, they had 4 minutes and 29 seconds of one of the best matches on the show. Like, it was legitimately, like, really good. Like, if you've never seen it, Jazz versus Trish, Backlash 2002, women's titles on the line. It's literally, like I said, 4 minutes, 29 seconds according to Wikipedia. I knew it was short just from watching it. But it was honestly really good. Like, I enjoyed it. It was one of the best matches of the night. I'd say probably Angle and Edge, like, wrestling-wise, was probably my favorite match of the night. Obviously, you got Hogan, Triple H, Taker, and Austin, which were two great matches on the show as well. But wrestling match of the night, I probably would say it was Angle and Edge, which we'll talk about. But this match between Jazz and Trish, really liked it, honestly. For what it was short, sweet, and to the point. Trish got some great offense in, even though Jazz kind of beat her up for most of it. Tapped her out in the end, retained the title. Awesome match. I believe I got it written down here. I tapped her out with some kind of STF maneuver. But yeah, honestly, go out of your way. It's worth checking out this matchup between Jazz and Trish. I really enjoyed it personally for the women's title. And like I said, a short little match. Got the job done. That's all you really needed. After that, Backlash 02, moving on with Young Upstart. The next big thing, Brock Lesnar taking on Jeff Hardy. This match actually got a little pre-match video package. I don't think I noted it here. I think I noted it later on somewhere in these notes, but I'm just going to say it now. You could really tell on this show who WWE was really putting some focus on, meaning for the younger guys, as to who, like, they were kind of pushing towards the future and trying to build up. Lesnar, definitely, obviously, one of them. You know, just a couple months after this, it's crazy. Like, he was literally, this is his first official match. I didn't even recognize that. I could have swore, I thought it was on Raw one of the weeks prior, but no, this Backlash match was actually his first official match in WWE for Brock Lesnar, and it felt like you felt like you already knew the guy. You felt like he was very important. And again, the crazy how this was his first official match in April, and then by August he was undisputed champion. Just shows how fast Brock moved up the ladder. I mean, 2 months after this, he was winning King of the Ring. You guys know the story. But Brock came out there, generic theme song in Titantron 2. He didn't have the cool theme song yet. I'm not sure when that debuted. I know it was before he won King of the Ring. But yeah, I don't know when the good Brock theme song debuted. He had something real generic here. I'm sure they just gave him something generic before he could before they invested some money into him. Basically, he clearly wasn't going out there and shit in the bed, but had awesome music. They probably were making sure, let's make sure this guy can work first before we give him the good music. I'm just assuming. But generic ass theme in Titantron, first official match. It's like, all right, let's see if the next big thing has got what it takes. And he basically just beat the shit out of Jeff Hardy for, go back to Wikipedia here, 5 minutes and 32 seconds, and won the match by technical knockout. I believe, Jeff got a chair. These are my notes that I'm reading, not Wikipedia. Jeff got a chair. Lesnar F5'd them, and then followed it up with, I think, a couple power bombs. I don't remember how many. And then Lesnar just wins by a referee stoppage. And I know this is clearly off topic, but does anybody else, anytime they hear the words referee stoppage now, just think of the Conor McGregor and who was it? Dustin Poirier fight. The last time Conor McGregor fought, and he was sitting on the ground. Joe Rogan's trying to interview him, and Conor just wants to. It's like clearly he just wants to make sure that everybody knows that he's losing this by referee stoppage, not because Dustin Poirier knocked him out or something. He's just on the ground with the microphone. Referee stoppage! Referee stoppage! Anytime I hear referee stoppage now, I just think of that. I'll be honest. So once they said it here, Lesnar had won by referee stoppage from just beating the shit out of Jeff Hardy with the F5 and power bombs and stuff. I just started cracking up because anytime, I swear to God, anytime I hear referee stoppage now, I just think of Conor on the ground. Referee stoppage! It's a referee stoppage! Or whatever he was saying. This is a classic. But yeah, Lesnar beat the shit out of Jeff Hardy. And looked good in his first official match. And the rest was history. Like I said, 2 months after this, he goes on to win King of the Ring. Undisputed title. Lesnar, the breakout star of 2002. One of the superstars of the year for 2002. Bunch of other stuff. You guys know the drill. I'm sure we're going to talk about plenty more of Brock Lesnar's 2-year run in WWE. throughout this duration of the podcast, like episode-wise, not today. But anyway, getting into what was the match of the night, in my opinion, wrestling-wise. Again, we had some big matches on the show, some very entertaining matches, but some big matches, the best wrestling match, nonetheless. Edge versus Kurt Angle. What was I saying here? I should have reviewed my notes beforehand, but first bullet point I wrote on here, and this is the first thing I thought of as Kurt Angle was walking to the ring, is, for God's sakes, can Kurt Angle re-sign at the WWE so we can get some more figures, man? This guy's had so many cool singlets over the years. Not like as many cool ones as RVD had, obviously, and they were two different styles anyway, but Kurt Angle, if you're not gonna like go sign with AEW and have like one more proper, wrestling match. I mean, I don't know how old Kurt Angle is. I'm sure. Let's check Wikipedia. How's he? 53. Listen, Kurt, I love you. You're one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. But if you're not going to go anywhere else, I know it's not as easy as, hey, WWE, take me back. I'm sure. Listen, there's somehow, some way. Mattel, honestly, you guys get the license for Kurt Angle and make some merchandise. I don't know how it works, all right? All I want, though, is Kurt Angle to sign whatever he has to sign so Mattel can make some more Kurt Angle action figures. That's all I'm saying. I just really want some more Kurt Angle action figures. It's been a while since we got any. I'm just saying. I know he was released 2 years ago, which I would have never released a legend Kurt Angle, the disrespect, but nonetheless. Just put him on the payroll. He deserves it. And make some more action figures. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, as we get into more notes here, I have a couple of things to say about my man Edge, based off, you guys, can you see it? There's some Edge figures. The Legends ones are right back there. Nonetheless. But Edge comes out, man. Edge was so over during this time. Like, the pops he was getting, and the pop he got here is like, Edge was truly really living the rock star gimmick. You know what I mean? Like, he came out and you just felt like Rob Zombie hits, Edge is running out there, and you just felt like a superstar just entered the building, man. Edge was so over during this time. In my opinion, got to be one of the top wrestlers of 2002 for the WWE. Not just in popularity, but in ring performance as well, but in both. And I gotta say, and I wrote this down here, I posted it on Instagram the other day when I was talking about those Edge figures back there, but Edge was so popular and so just on the uprise in 2002, and let me know if you guys agree, but I really think if Edge didn't get injured in 2003, that he may have very well been Undisputed Champion that year. I mean, he went out with an injury February of 2003. Brock had won the title back from Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 19, and then Kurt was out till July. July was his first pay-per-view back. I don't know what official SmackDown he came back at, whether it was June or July. But point is, Kurt Angle was out for a couple of months, and Lesnar and Angle was still the feud of the year, basically, for 2003. Obviously, the feud of SmackDown, but I'd say it was probably the feud of the year for WWE in 2003 was Brock versus Kurt Angle. So regardless of that, but Brock really didn't have that many challengers on SmackDown at the time. They ran back him the Big Show at Judgment Day that year, and Big Show was involved with Kurt Angle as well in the Triple Threat at Vengeance that year. I believe Brock worked John Cena, which is definitely John Cena's biggest match to date at that point. After WrestleMania 19, he worked him at Backlash 2003. But Cena was really not just getting started with the Thugonomics gimmick. He had been doing it for a couple months, but he was just kind of somebody just to throw at Lesnar, and obviously helped Cena along the way. But I gotta say, man, I really think Edge would have been in that Undisputed title picture of 2003, and very well might have won it. With Lesnar needing some opponents outside, and honestly, it could have been something where he could have won the title maybe even outside of Lesnar and Angle, because Lesnar and Angle, like I said, was the feud of the year in my opinion in 2003. Even though the majority of the feud was based around the fact that they were feuding for the Undisputed Championship, it could have very well been a situation where their feud escalated past the Undisputed title, and Edge could have kind of been having a separate thing on SmackDown with the Undisputed Championship. I very well think that's a possibility. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and stuff like that if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening to this, hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. Do you guys think, if he did not get injured, Edge could have been WWE Undisputed Champion in 2003? Because I very well think there may have been a possibility. Like, if you go back and rework some of the things in 2003, like Lesnar worked, it was him and Angle again at SummerSlam that year, and then after that it was him and Taker at No Mercy, And then Survivor Series, I don't believe the title was even on the line because it was Team Lesnar versus Team Angle. And then he was champ until he dropped the title to Eddie Guerrero. So Lesnar was pretty much champ for the majority of 2003. Angle had it at some point. During, I believe he won it back at Vengeance, if I'm not mistaken. And then him and Lesnar did their thing at SummerSlam and whatnot, and they had the Iron Man match on SmackDown that year. But regardless of all that, like I said, I just very well think with the popularity of Edge in 2002, clearly just on the uprise, one of the top guys on SmackDown, obviously, like, he was probably I don't want to say the top, no, he wasn't the top guy in the SmackDown 6 at the end of 2002, but I mean, obviously, look at the talent there. You had Benoit, Angle, and the Mysterios, Ray and Edge, and then the Guerreros. Ray was doing his thing at the Cruiserweight title. Like I said, Angle was out with an injury. Benoit, honestly, Benoit was probably going to, I'd assume, team up with Edge at WrestleMania 19 to take on Hassan Benjamin and then Los Guerreros. But obviously, Edge went out with an injury. They gave Rhino to Benoit. So, he probably then would have just been in the WWE Tag Team title picture again. But again, after WrestleMania 19, sometime 2003, I'm just saying, there's definitely the chance that he could have been Undisputed Champion. Or honestly, I know we're just kind of rambling here, but that's the point of the podcast. They brought back the 2000, or they brought back the United States Championship in 2003. So Edge very well could have won that championship. He won the WCW version of it during the Invasion angle, but he could have been the WWE champion. They did the tournament in 2003, and Eddie Guerrero and Benoit were in the finals at Vengeance that year. But very well could have been, Edge in there possibly and winning the U.S. title. Who knows, man? Again, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think Edge would have been Undisputed Champion, or maybe United States Champion? No, just tell me if you think he was going to be Undisputed Champion or not in 2003. And maybe he could have turned heel. Who knows? Obviously, he was out for well over a year and some change, year and a month, whatever it was. Came back after WrestleMania 20, and then was faced for a few months, you guys know, and then the crowd started turning on him because it was basically just same old babyface Edge. And he just really wasn't doing much. Other people were getting over on Raw as babyfaces like Randy Orton. So they turned him heel, and it was the best thing that ever happened. Probably, or at least one of the best things that ever happened for Edge. But regardless, again, do you think he would have been Undisputed Champion in 2003? Let me know. I think there's a very good chance that he may have. But nonetheless, man, this is a great wrestling match between Edge and Kurt Angle. Jumping back to Backlash 2002. Overall, how long did this go? Let me check Wikipedia here. This match went 15 minutes. Honestly, it felt like it went a little longer, but it was a great match, man. You just see some young Edge in this thing, just doing a couple high-risk maneuvers. Stuff that he honestly still pulls out now and then, but, crossbody out of the ring, I'm pretty sure. Jumped off the top rope. Like some just classic young Edge stuff. Just absolutely tearing it up in there with, just a freaking pro like Kurt Angle, just absolutely amazing. One spot that I had to point out here, because obviously you're not just going to sit here and list off every wrestling hold that they put in on each other, but one thing I had to point out was that Kurt Angle brought a chair in at some point, and they did the old goes to hit Edge with the chair. Edge moves, Kurt Angle bounces off the top rope, bounces back, and hits himself in the face with the chair. I forgot that was part of this match. I literally didn't see it coming. I popped huge. Kurt just hitting himself accidentally with the chair. I loved it. But in the end, Kurt Angle won the match, with an angle slam over Edge. And then obviously you guys know the feud continued after this, and we got the hair versus hair match at Judgment Day. And then that was it from there. But yeah, Edge and Angle, Backlash 02, man. Probably, like I said, I think definitely my match of the night, wrestling-wise. And we had some great stuff on here. We still had Eddie Guerrero and RVD coming up after this. But overall, Edge and Angle, favorite match of the night. I need a water break. I've been talking for a half hour. It's quality H2O, man. That is quality H2O. But anyway, Edge and Angle, thumbs up from me. After that, we actually... Oh, yeah, one thing I gotta say is, like, after every match, there was, like, a fade out to black, and then it faded back in. There was definitely, like, some segments or something cut on the Peacock version of this show. I don't have it on DVD back there. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you see the DVD collection behind me. But anything that I do have on DVD that I want to go back and watch, I'm going to try to watch the DVD to get the cleanest, most original version of it possible. But there was definitely like some segments cut or something on the Peacock version, because I was like, why is there so many weird fade in and outs here? Like they never did that much on the pay-per-views that then. So I thought that was weird. Peacock definitely. I know they cut stuff out in general sometimes, but I don't know what they cut out. Is what it is. But we did have Chris Jericho promo on this show. And I got two things to note about it. Is that he called the crowd jackasses a couple times, which popped me because it's Jericho and he's just hilarious with his delivery. And number two, and this is gonna be a hot take, hot topic, my opinion. Let me know yours. Judas is a great theme song for Chris Jericho. It's great. However, in my opinion, it's maybe nostalgia talking. I will recognize that. Maybe nostalgia talking. But in my opinion, Break the Walls Down is a better theme song than Judas. Mic drop. That's all I got to say. It's just my opinion. Like I said, I recognize that might be the nostalgia talking a little bit. But, man, you hear the countdown goes on, Break the Walls Down hits, fire, pyro. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. I'm just saying. I just had to point that out. Let me know what you guys think is better. You think Judas is better, or is it Break the Walls Down? Actually, I'm gonna put a poll. I'm gonna put a poll up on Twitter right now. Right now, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this live. You ready? We're gonna do this live. You ready? Which I can't. It's hard to type because my microphone's in the way. Which theme? I can't type. Song for my microphone's in the way. I'm moving it off to the side. Which theme song for Chris Jericho is/was the best? Here we go. Choice 1, Judas. Choice 2, Break the Walls Down. Sound off. I want to know. Boom. Which theme song for Chris Jericho is/was the best? Sound off. I want to know. Judas or Break the Walls Down? Tweet. This will be up for the next day, and it will still be up time this podcast goes up. So go vote on that poll. Vote on that poll. Excuse me, over on my Twitter at No Nation Vlogs. Let me know which Chris Jericho theme you think is better. Anyway, let's move on here. We have where am I? Where's my notes? There we go. We have the Intercontinental Championship on the line. The good old oval Intercontinental Championship, my favorite Intercontinental Championship design of all time. There's only a few titles that I would be interested in having replica titles of in the collection one day, and one of them is the oval Intercontinental Championship. One day I will pick it up. Anyway, just this match alone sounds phenomenal. It's literally Eddie Guerrero versus Intercontinental Champion Rob Van Dam. Literally, just that sentence alone sounds like a work of art. Sounds like a Picasso masterpiece. Sounds like a Mona freaking Lisa. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, this match I thought was really good. Edge was in the last match. Eddie dominated this match, honestly, for the most part. I'm reading my notes here as we're talking, but okay, yeah. I forgot about this. Let's say I should have read my notes first. All right. The second episode of the podcast. Cut me some slack. But Eddie Guerrero, man. One thing I had to write down here because it's very true. If there's one guy who knew how to deliver a freaking sunset flip in wrestling and make it look like the most vicious, violent, brutal move in the books, Eddie Guerrero. Like, you're thinking about it right now, as I'm saying. You're going back and you're picturing Eddie hitting a couple sunset flips, like on Rey Mysterio off a ladder, with whoever else. And you're like, damn, you know what? You're right. And that's because it's true. Dude, go back and watch a wrestling match and watch Eddie Guerrero hit a freaking sunset flip. It's a sunset flip, but he doesn't just let gravity take the wheel. He makes sure he puts emphatic just statement on that powerbomb at the end, dude. I had to write it down here because I thought about it and I was just like, damn, that looked brutal. But I'm like, this is what Eddie always did. He always made the sunset flip look freaking vicious and violent, dude. It looked awesome, man. And again, if you're listening to this, you probably know what I'm talking about. And you're picturing it in your head. You're like, damn, he is right. And I know I'm right. And that's thanks to Eddie Guerrero. Where's the pop? I don't know where it is. I don't know. Where is it? Where is it? I'm not getting it. But Eddie Guerrero. Late great. Rest in peace. Anyway. Where was I here? Oh, Eddie neckbreaker to RVD on the belt. Somebody got the well, it was probably Eddie. Eddie won the Intercontinental Championship in the ring. Hit, I think, behind the ref's back. No, I don't even think it was behind the ref's back. I think they just kind of happened to land on it, so couldn't technically count as a DQ. But neckbreaker to RVD, right on top of the Intercontinental title, followed by a picture-perfect frog splash. Of course, it was picture-perfect because it was Eddie Guerrero. And Eddie wins the Intercontinental Championship. This match went 11 minutes, 43 seconds. Not bad at all. It was a great wrestling match. I liked Edge and Kurt Angle better because it was a little bit more back and forth. Eddie dominated a lot of this match. RVD still, got his shit in, but still, this is a more dominated Eddie Guerrero match. But still, great matchup here. And just again, man, I'm pointing out the sunset flip because I thought about it in that moment. But I mean, everything Eddie Guerrero did looked good. Like, literally, think of all of Eddie's moves, his top moves, the suplexes, the frog splash, what is it called? The freaking halo, I don't know. What the hell's the move called? I don't know. Over the top rope. Everything Eddie Guerrero did just looked freaking brutal. With style. That's what Eddie Guerrero did. And he won the Intercontinental Championship on this night. Short reign for RVD. He won at WrestleMania 18. Lost it here. I mean, WrestleMania 18 was kind of an early Mania. It was like March 14th, 2002. That date might be wrong. But so he held it like just over a month. I can actually check right here. Because I can just go back on Wikipedia. WrestleMania 17th, March 17th, 2002. So a month and some change for RVD as the Intercontinental Champion. But he ended up being back in the Intercontinental Championship picture in no time anyway. So Eddie won the match. It was great. Moving on, we got the number one contender. This is actually the longest match of the night as well. This next matchup went 27 minutes. And I probably would have shaved a little bit off it. But, it's back then, big guys, big superstar names. They got the longer matches. So it was fine. It's still really good. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker. Ric Flair, the Raw General Manager, as the referee. This was a number one contenders match for the Undisputed Championship of the World. Winner here moved on to Judgment Day the next month to fight either Triple H or Hulk Hogan for the Undisputed Championship. Obviously, we know which match ended up happening because it was 20 years ago by now. If you don't know, well, maybe you just don't know your history, which is fine, but most likely there's a good chance that you know. Anyway, gotta say here, this match was filled in the beginning with all just classic Stone Cold shenanigans, just doing push-ups in the ring, flipping off Undertaker to the point where Undertaker was just like, come on, you do. Get out of my face. It was great. I was cracking up. Another thing that I got to mention here, and this isn't based off Backlash, it's just kind of overall, is, one thing that was great about Stone Cold, outside of all of his other antics and stuff, is I always loved how he just came into the ring pissed off talking shit. Like, to himself, basically. Like, he'll just be looking off at the crowd like, oh, you son of a bitch, you son of a bitch, and just like... I'm just watching him walk to the ring, and I'm like, this is one of those classic Stone Cold things, man. On top of everything, the middle finger, the stunner, the beers, classic Stone Cold shenanigans, all that stuff, man. One thing that I love about Austin is that he would just come to the ring pissed off, just talking shit to just out loud, just to anybody. He couldn't always make out what he was saying. A lot of times you couldn't. It's just kind of talk, but just hilarious. Just classic Stone Cold stuff. Just started doing push-ups in the ring. Which cracked me up. Yo, another thing about this match, Ric Flair, my God, what a terrible referee. his like fast count, or not fast count, but like his normal referee count was so goddamn slow. He wasn't even doing a slow count because he was doing it for both Austin and Taker. He was just so stiff. He was just like something like that. But I wrote it down here because I just thought it was funny. I was like, God damn, this guy, he's a master at wrestling, but referee, not where Ric Flair was best at. I know he's just, special guest for this thing. Didn't really matter. But I had to point it out because he looked kind of funny. Again, this match went, 27 minutes? They brawled for most of it. I mean, it's a Stone Cold versus The Undertaker match. You guys can pretty much expect how it went. Especially since it's a Stone Cold match. And Undertaker during this time was, he always was just kind of a brawler for the most part. But, 2007 Undertaker to 2009 Undertaker was like, Kenny Omega 2021, you know what I mean? It was just like the best wrestler in the world almost, for the most part. But, pretty much 27 minutes of a little bit of shenanigans in the beginning, brawling. There was interference. Or no, interference that wasn't in this match. It was in the main event. I take that back. But the double Flair bumps in this thing, which I thought was hilarious. He took 2 bumps in this match, not or ref bumps, but Flair bumps. Took him twice in this match. Undertaker tried using a chair. Taker big boots the chair in Austin's face. Austin, what did I write down? Austin foot on the ropes. Oh yeah, so Austin was I think going to hit Taker with the chair. Taker big booted it back in his face to knock out Austin for a second. Goes for the cover. Austin got his foot on the ropes, but even though Ric Flair, he stares right at it. But he just plays it off like, okay, 1, 2, 3. Doesn't see Austin's foot on the rope. Even if you go back and literally, they show you the replay of Ric Flair like watching back the replay backstage after this, and he just goes, oh shit, which I thought was funny. But literally, they show you the replay, and Flair's literally just, he's staring at Austin, waiting for him to get the foot on the ropes, and then right when he does, he's like, okay, 1, 2. It was great. It's Ric Flair, it was Ric Flair. But Taker won the match, and afterwards, Stone Cold gave him a stunner, because gotta send the crowd home happy. I need some more quality H2O. You know what? Here's where I messed up, guys. I started drinking water as we started the podcast, but I had a cup of coffee before this, so I'm all dried out from talking. Not cutting any of these water breaks out either, because it's a podcast. That's not what we do here on the podcast. We just let it roll. Anyway, so yeah, that was that match. Not much to talk about, like I said. This was just a brawl. We had Billy and Chuck versus Maven and Al Snow for the tag team titles. I honestly didn't pay attention to this match because I knew it was going to be like 3 minutes, and actually it was 6 minutes, 5 minutes 58 seconds. But I really didn't pay attention to this because I was just like, I know what happens here, and just didn't really care. But one thing I gotta say, and I lost attention, I don't even know what the finish was. So whoops. Gotta say though, and this is universally known for the most part, but Maven had one of the greatest theme songs of all time. No doubt about it. If you've never listened to it, if you're unfamiliar with Maven, I'm not telling you to go watch some of his matches. I'm just saying, go on YouTube, look up his theme song, and give it a good listen, man. It'll be in your workout playlist by tomorrow. Like, it's such a great song. It's up there with, like, it's one of those random theme songs that's up there with, like, Justin Gabriel and Heath Slater's, like, 2011 theme song. Like, just random guys who had great theme songs. Like, he's one of those guys. And Maven's probably, like, go to the GOAT. Like, his theme song is great. His theme song's great. If I remember Maven for one thing, it won't be Tough Enough, it won't be Hardcore Title, it'll be the fact that he had one of the best theme songs in the business. But regardless, we move on to your main event of April, what was it again? 21st, 2002. Backlash, Kansas City. The Game, Triple H, defending the WWF Undisputed Championship against the red and yellow Hollywood Hulk Hogan. 2 mega stars. 2 freaking big muscle guys going at it for the Undisputed Championship. One thing that sucks here, and this sucked on the WWE Network and it sucks on Peacock, Jimi Hendrix theme song for Hollywood Hogan, dubbed over, is what it is. But, you know, we know what he was coming out to, man. It was that old Jimi Hendrix, a little bit of Voodoo Child, which would have made this even more cooler. But, you know, got to dub over it, unfortunately. Is what it is. I just had to point it out because even though it's been common knowledge from the network and now it's a Peacock, it still sucks. Nonetheless, though, there was this shot, and if I can go back and if I remember, I'll like try to take a screenshot of it, maybe put it on Twitter. But some people may know what I'm talking about. You might even be able to just look it up. There was this shot. I keep hitting my light. If you hear like a bang, I keep hitting my light and then it's bouncing back and hitting my monitor here. Triple H was on the apron. He came out second. I'm recording in here. He came out second. He's doing his water spit on the apron. And the way they shot it, they kind of shot it off angle. So you saw Hulk Hogan kind of like this in the background, just staring down Triple H. And it was an awesome shot, dude. It gave me chills when I looked at it. 'Cause Triple H was just looking like a beast. Undisputed title wrapped around him. He's doing the water spit. And Hulk Hogan's just right behind him. The way they shot it, kind of in the background, you see him just staring down Triple H. It was an awesome shot, man. Again, if I remember, I'll try to go back, try to take a screenshot of it or something. If not, just go look it up on Google or something if it's on there, or on YouTube or something. It was an awesome shot, man. Literally gave me chills when I was watching it. But also, one thing I gotta say, this match as I was watching it, and I was definitely realizing it. They even pointed it out on commentary, like after I thought about it, and then like 2 minutes later, JR and Lawler started talking about it on commentary. So I was like, oh well, look at that, I'm smart, but no. Triple H super over as a babyface during this time. Like, he obviously was a babyface, came out, huge pop from the Kansas City crowd. But in this matchup, man, it was the same thing as Hogan versus Rock at WrestleMania 18. Like, Rock was super over as a babyface, but they loved Hogan so much that they kind of turned The Rock heel during that match. Not literally heel, but they were booing him. And same thing kind of happened here. Like, even though Triple H got an awesome reaction, huge pop when he came out, Hulk Hogan was just so freaking over during this 2002 comeback run that anybody he faced was getting booed, man. Like, anybody. Obviously we don't know what would have happened if him and Austin went one-on-one. And obviously they had that handicap match on Raw, but Hogan was a heel. Regardless of that, that doesn't count. But singles-wise, anybody Hogan was in the ring with was getting booed. Hogan was so freaking over, and I can't imagine, I'll talk about this later, but I can't imagine what Hogan versus Lesnar would have been like if that actually went through that year at Survivor Series. Maybe I'll talk about that in a second. But I had to point that out because Triple H so over as a babyface during his entrance during this time. But people loved Hogan so much, man, that Triple H was getting the Rock WrestleMania 18 treatment during this match. Not like to crazy extents, but you definitely heard the boos in comparison to Hulk Hogan throughout this, which I just thought was great, man. It just shows how just freaking crazy over Hogan was as a face during this time. But some interference here. Jericho ran down. He tried to runs down while Hogan's in the pin. Hits Triple H, yeah. So Jericho was kind of almost helping, not really helping Hogan during this time, but kind of go back at Triple H. They had their feud going on at Mania, and then Taker ended up running down as well and trying to. Well, he actually got involved in the finish. So I'll save that. But Jericho ran down, hit Hogan with a chair. Triple H beats up Jericho. Why did I forget? I left out stuff in my notes, but regardless, he ran down. I'm a good journalist, guys. I'm a good journalist. Jericho runs down, hits Hogan with a chair. Triple H beats up Jericho. Hogan hulks up. Triple H pedigrees Hogan. Undertaker runs down, knocks out the referee. You guys following here? I think Triple H pedigree to Hogan, goes for the cover. Taker runs down, knocks out the referee, hits Triple H with a chair. Hogan says, "I don't want your help, Undertaker." Beats up the Undertaker. Triple H is down. Leg drop to Triple H. Big ass pop for Hogan winning. That's literally what I wrote. I wrote leg drop on HHH for the win. Period. Big ass pop for Hogan winning! Exclamation point. So Triple H was trying to, Undertaker kind of helped Hogan unintentionally here. Kind of because he knew he'd rather face Hulk Hogan at Judgment Day opposed to Triple H. And they also had, Undertaker and Triple H had heat going into this matchup. If you go back and watch some of the Raws and SmackDowns, those two were kind of building up towards something. Taker, I think, was originally supposed to face Hogan, but was originally supposed to face Triple H, but then Vince changed it to Hogan as like the part of the whole general managers picking the number one contender thing. And then Jericho trying to screw over Hogan based off something in the promo earlier. A bunch of shenanigans here. In the end, one thing about the Attitude Era and even leading into the Ruthless Aggression Era, you're guaranteed to get shenanigans during like almost every main event. Like literally, there was going to be some kind of run-in, some kind of interference. It was bound to happen. But I loved how Taker knocked out the ref, but Hogan was like, "I don't want your fucking help." Beat up Undertaker. Triple H was down, dropped the big leg, and then a big, huge pop for Hogan winning the Undisputed title. And I know people, like, when you go back and see people's opinions on this, some people were a fan of Hogan winning the title. Some people aren't a fan of Hogan winning the title at this stage in his career. He was late 40s during the time, I think. I think that's what they said on commentary. But, I mean, listen, dude. Hogan, he came back immediately one of the biggest stars in the WWE. Clearly the most over babyface in the company. Anybody, like I said earlier, he was going against, that person was getting booed. And it gave Hogan one last run as WWE champion. He only lasted a month, because obviously he faced Undertaker Judgment Day. Taker took the title off him. Undisputed title hopped around a lot in 2002 when you really think about it. I mean, Jericho started off the year as champ, went to Triple H from WrestleMania, or Triple H won the title at WrestleMania, then Hulk Hogan won the title at Backlash, then Taker won the title at Judgment Day, then The Rock won the title at Vengeance 2 months later, then Lesnar won the title at SummerSlam 1 month later, then Big Show won the title in November, and then Angle won the title in December. A lot of moving around for the Undisputed title that year. So, like, it was, in my opinion, harmless for Hogan to win the title here. And honestly, Triple H was headed towards a heel turn anyway. it kind of ended up not playing into that, but it was, one thing trickling down into the other, because Triple H losing the title left him with no brand. Eventually we get him signing the Raw, which kicked off the feud with Shawn Michaels and kicked off him turning the heel. So it all led to something, and it also led to Triple H and Jericho closing out their feud in Hell in a Cell at Judgment Day. But I loved Hogan win the title here. It was a great moment, great pop. Main event was good. How long did this go? I think it was 22 minutes. Yeah, 22 minutes sounds about right. Main event was good. Obviously, it wasn't, like I said, your match of the night. Probably your moment of the night, though. And like I said earlier, man, if you guys don't know, and I'd forget, plenty of people have talked about this and on stuff before, but evidently the idea floating around for Survivor Series 2002 in Madison Square Garden that year was for Brock Lesnar to defend the Undisputed Championship against Hulk Hogan, because Hulk Hogan got written off TV after Vengeance in the lead up to SummerSlam that year. I forget, it might have been like right after Vengeance or maybe right before SummerSlam. Point is, sometime in that build between July and August, Hulk Hogan got written off TV by a beat up by Brock Lesnar. They had a match on SmackDown. Lesnar beat the hell out of him. Hogan goes off TV. And I guess the plan was for Hogan to face Lesnar at Survivor Series that year. I mean, Hogan stepping foot in Madison Square Garden for the first time in, however many years it had been, fighting for the Undisputed Championship. And that would have freaking... Listen, Survivor Series 02 is like already one of the best Survivor Series, my favorite Survivor Series of all time, and one of the best. But obviously Hogan versus Lesnar instead of Lesnar versus Big Show on that show makes it even better. So in hindsight, it's like, damn, that would have been sick. But unfortunately, Hulk Hogan had an ego and wanted to win the Undisputed title that night. Vince, credit to him and whoever else, was like, no, Lesnar, you're not beating Lesnar. And obviously Lesnar ended up losing the title on that show anyway to Big Show. But I feel like that's two different situations. Lesnar lost the title to Big Show because it set up his story with Kurt Angle leading the WrestleMania and Lesnar going babyface. Lesnar would have still had to been going in and coming out heel if he were to face Hogan, and it just kind of would have been he lost the title to Hogan, and we'll see where we go from here. I mean, maybe they could have worked it in anyway. Maybe Hogan beat Lesnar, then Angle beat Hogan, and then I don't know. Then it was Paul Heyman aligned himself with Angle. I don't know, how you could rebook it if you wanted to, but yeah, crazy to think that we were pretty close from getting Hogan and Lesnar that year, and with how over Hogan was in 2002, just can only imagine what Survivor Series 02 would have been like, and especially I don't know, like Hogan already wanted to win that match. I would hope he probably would have wanted to go on last. But nothing could have main evented over the Elimination Chamber that night. It was the first ever Elimination Chamber. So I can't imagine if Hogan and Lesnar would have went through and then the first ever Elimination Chamber goes on second to last, or like sometime in the middle of the show, kind of how Lesnar and Big Show did, just so Hogan can close the show winning the title. That would have been weird. But again, it's all for speculation, and it's all for, imagination as to if Hogan versus Lesnar would have happened. But that was it for Backlash 02, man. Overall, I really enjoyed the show. Like I said in the beginning of this, I didn't think I was going to sit down and watch the whole thing in one night, but I was having so much fun with the show. Write notes, I was live tweeting it, and I knew I was going to come on here and talk about it, so my mind was just spinning, and I was just locked in, and I ended up staying up and watching the whole show. It was 1:30, which, isn't super late. It's pretty late, but it isn't super late, but, had a good time, so I was enjoying it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, recall review, throwback review, whatever you want to call it, for Backlash 2002, here on episode 2 of the Ruthless Discussions podcast. Let me know your thoughts, not only on the podcast, but feel free, go back and watch Backlash 2002, and then come back here, hit me with your thoughts on the show, or if you have any memories from watching it back in the day on that show, feel free. Again, leave them in the comments down below if you're watching here on YouTube. But if you're listening on any of the podcast apps, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Instagram, or just come over to the YouTube video and drop it in the comments here. Just let me know what you guys are thinking for this podcast, for my thoughts on Backlash 2002. Let me know your thoughts on the show as well. If you go back and watch it, what was your match of the night? What was your favorite moment of the night? Let me know. Let's have a discussion. But I'm not sure what we're going to talk about next week here on the podcast. Just kind of going with the flow. I'm not like going in order from the beginning to end of the Ruthless Aggression era, because I just don't want to get bored along the way. I just want to jump around and watch stuff that I want to watch. So maybe we'll talk about another Backlash. Maybe we'll just talk about a random topic. I don't know what it's going to be, but regardless, we'll be here next Sunday morning with yet another Ruthless Discussions podcast. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's I've been the Noah Nation. As always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe here on YouTube. And if you're listening on any of the podcast apps, be sure to give me a good old Rob Van Dam 5-star frog splash, or you know what, Eddie Guerrero won the Intercontinental title on this show, so give me a good old Eddie Guerrero five-star frog. Well, it doesn't really make any sense. It has to be RVD because it's the 5-star frog splash star review. Okay, you know what I'm going for. But I hope you guys enjoyed this week's podcast. Plenty of content here on the YouTube channel to come this week. Should be a big week for the content. We have a Universe Mode pay-per-view tomorrow on Monday on May 2nd. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Then we have a Tuesday Night Toys podcast this week with my guest, who is the co-host of the Basement Yard podcast, Frank Alvarez. We had a great conversation, so check that out on Tuesday. And then content's going to roll on throughout the week, so stay tuned to the YouTube channel. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Yeah, I just wanna be great.